make, right? Sorry, I'm still trying to figure out. There we go. He's live. Give me just, there he is.
There he is. Yeah. I want you guys to just before we get started, Melody, I want everyone to ask themselves this question because it'll change your life. Ask yourself the question, what is love? And then be open to that answer just coming to you. Because when that answer comes to you, if you don't let your traumatized, fragmented ego mind answer that question, and you allow the answer to just come to you, if you allow your higher self or your higher mind to deliver that answer to you, it'll change your life. That's the message I had to deliver. How are you, Melody?
I love that. I'm doing good, but I want to check before we get going too far if I have an echo. Because the last time I went live with somebody here on TikTok, I had an echo. I had to do earbuds. So could the viewers watching let me know if you hear an echo right now before we get into the conversation? No echo?
Yeah. I don't hear one. You look great. You sound great. And
okay.
And I'm happy to be here with you. Thank you for taking the time to be with me.
No, thank you. Okay, thanks, guys. Nobody's hearing an echo, so let's just go forward. So did that just come to you?
It did, and when things just come to me like that, they need to be delivered immediately. So that's for everybody who's listening. When inspirations come to us, these are actually insights, or what I call revelations, come to us. They're to be acted on immediately. Because they're coming from the higher mind, and the higher mind is our inner guidance system. And when we act on those things, we get sent more guidance, more forms of abundance, money, people that show up on our timelines that are there to help us act on the next step in our excitement. And this is actually how we accumulate all of the things that we've always wanted. This is actually how the manifestation process works. We work on our inner guidance system in the moment. We take action on it. We don't sit on it and wait till tomorrow, because by that time the window's closed and somebody else from your soul group like Melody will have taken action on that insight.
I love it. So what is your answer to the question? What is your definition of love?
So when the answer comes to me, it sounds like it sounds like understanding that the other person, the so-called other person, is you. That's the answer that comes to me. And when we understand that every reflection that we're interacting with in the external reality is us, and we interact with our entire reality as if we're interacting with ourselves, then miracles happen in our relationships. All of the situations that have troubled us for years, they heal themselves. All the broken relationship dynamics heal themselves.
It's interesting that you're just jumping on, because when I first kind of started this live, I was talking about that, just if we could all just take a second and realize that we're just all like the same people, that we're not like Trumpers or, we're not statists, we're not Christians, we're just like a bunch of Christs running around. Like we are actually that.
Yeah, I would suggest that the polarizing issues that divide us were created by us in order to divide us, because before we have this ascension where we all realize that we're one and we all come together, we have to first feel how terrible it feels to be this far polarized. And this polarization is actually what fuels the shift upwards, or the ascension and the coming back together. It's all, I'm going to quote my teacher, RJ Spina, who wrote the amazing book behind me called Access Superconsciousness. He says it's all designed for us to come together because we are all one.
And do you feel like that's happening now?
The polarity has to happen in a way that is so extreme. It's like having a detox. Everything has to come up and out. Everything that was hidden in the shadows has to come up and out first. We are detoxifying ourselves. We're going through a spiritual detox where everything that is of a lower frequency, that doesn't belong to the vibration we call unconditional love, which is our true self. No name, no image, no form, and therefore no limitations. That creator being we call unconditional love. That source energy, everything that is not of that vibration is coming up and out. And that's what we're seeing. And that's why it looks like there's more polarity than ever. That's why somebody like Donald Trump had to be put in the position and given the illusion of power by people who still believe the power is outside of themselves. And there have to be people who still believe that the power is outside of themselves, if they're willing to give that power away to a so-called president or a puppet of the establishment. before we're done giving our power away. We have to have another 4 years of giving away our power and expecting someone else to fix our world for us when they're actually the problem.
Well, speaking of our world, I believe in my own, understanding that the things that we see that are happening outside of us now in nature are kind of an as within, so without thing, which is kind of mirroring our own shift, right? So we're seeing tons of like cataclysmic things happening outside. And I feel like it's part of that awareness that we're going through. Like the earth is an organism, and it's going to be reborn into like a new energy in a way that is kind of breaking down the old, because everything's in cycles, creation, we have cell cycles, every little minuscule microbiome, all of that goes through a life cycle just like we do. And the earth is no different. It goes through cycles. So as we're cycling as a one consciousness, it's almost like the universe and everything that we are is going through this huge shift. So what is your read on that?
So every action that we take, every belief that we operate with is creating a contract with the universe and is actually creating our world, because there is no world outside of us. It is created from within and then projected outward. This is what Neville Goddard, the great Christian mystic, said. Everything is you pushed out, or everyone is you pushed out. It's literally what we're experiencing is our consciousness pushed outward and then reflected back, projected out and reflected back. So every thought, emotion, action, behavior that we take is actually creating the world that we're experiencing. And we're all experiencing a completely unique world. And that's based upon our beliefs, our thoughts, our behaviors, our actions. That's all making an energetic contract with the universe. And that experiences, that shows that inner world is projected out and reflected back. So if people can understand that everything we do is literally every action we take, every thought we have, every belief that we're generating our reality with is making an energetic contract with the world. And then what we collectively agree on is what we experience collectively. But that doesn't hold us back. We can actually create our own heaven on earth despite what, and this is what a lot of our first interview was about. It's about, we're not chained to the collective consciousness, right? It seems like a lot of us are bitter. A lot of us spiritual folks are bitter that we're chained down to this collective consciousness that still is all about externalizing its power, still all about working to make money, still all about the money and the abundance and relationships and love, and the power is outside of me. But we can actually create a world for ourselves that's completely independent of that. And this is done by us taking the actions and embodying the frequency of the vibrational frequency of somebody who is an empowered creator.
I love it.
So if there's something that's going on with the environment, say, that bothers us, we need to take the actions. We need to be the ones that take the actions that move us energetically in a direction where that situation is fixed, because it all actually exists within us. It's not out there. I know the illusion is that it's out there, but it's actually all happening within us. It's created within us and then it's projected out and reflected back. That's the way reality actually works. It's a hologram. And I think even the clueless scientists know that this is a hologram, that we're not actually physical beings. Even the clueless scientists will tell you that it's 99.9 to the 13th power empty space, protons, electrons, and neutrons. There's no real solid matter. It's all a hologram, and you're the one that's generating the hologram.
Yeah. I love talking with you. It's so climactic, dude. This is like the best action I could get talking to you, Pete, because these things I kind of sometimes question, like, am I fucking delusional? I do. And I think that's normal. I don't know if I'm the only one, because sometimes I'm like, there can't be any real reason why I think like this. But then I'm like, honestly, it's a gift to think like this in a world where people are taught not to think or to tap into that, right? And I think pushing through that discomfort where we're like questioning our whole reality is part of the process. So you were talking the other day, I caught a video and you were like talking about how you kind of felt just like this really uncomfortable place in consciousness where it's just like you were like goo, kind of like everything falls away. And then how did you pull out of that? Because I know a lot of people, especially on my Facebook, they're like, I'm doing sessions and we're talking and they're like, I'm just in this place. It's just so ick. Like you're losing a sense of your identity, right? And you just came from that place, right? So what could you tell us that are still in the goo of it or trying to navigate through that? How do we do that?
So yeah, I had a ego death or an ego dissolution. My false character that I called Peter was dissolved. I took a very powerful psychedelic, and it basically annihilated my false character. And so the illusion of separation was gone. So that literally shifted my entire reality because the separate character called Peter was gone. And now I was one with everything in my environment, which is the truth. We are actually the reality that we're creating. We're the entire reality. The entire holographic bubble is made of our energy. And the so-called others are actually us. They're our own consciousness. They are versions of these so-called others that exist that are completely different entities in their universe. We're creating our version of them in our universe. And so that's what that situation did for me. And I didn't come out of it. I'm actually still in it. I don't actually have a separate persona or personality anymore. I try to be entertaining like the old character that I had. I still try to be entertaining, but the truth is I know that I very much know that I'm one with everything. And this is why I ask everyone to, if you're a coach like my brother Cam Hanna, who's actually my son in another life and probably in this life, when we are dealing with clients, coaching clients, and we understand that there's no separation between us and them, we will automatically know exactly how to serve them when they show up. We won't have to go through their client file. We won't have to go see what's going on in their life. We will know when the illusion of separation is gone exactly how to serve them in the moment that they appear on the screen of our consciousness. And that's for everybody who's a life coach, everybody who serves others. If you understand that the illusion of separation is just that, an illusion that you're creating with your fake character, once that illusion of separation is gone, we know exactly how to connect with the other person. We're in absolute vibrational resonance with them. We know exactly how to best be there. We know exactly how to connect with the other person. We're in absolute vibrational resonance with them. We know exactly how to best be there for them. And speaking of which, once my ego character was gone, I could watch Beata's channel. She should be there for them. And speaking of which, once my ego character was gone, I could watch Beata's channel. She does all this manifestation teaching in Polish. Now my character cannot understand the Polish language, but what I really am reads energy, and that's why I watch her channel all the time. She's speaking a completely different language, but I'm totally vibing with her because the illusion of separation is gone, and language is a huge reduction of the truth. Language is a massive reduction. Yeah.
And you realize that our ancestors, when they used just like vowels, like but they still communicated every need that they had with each other in just using little sounds. And then you realize what a farce it is to have this sophisticated way of communication, because it's really just fluffing us out of our own intuitive knowing when we could be pretty much telepathic just by making vowel sounds, right? So
we're all hardwired to understand each other. What we take in, right? I hear people all the time cry about, they don't remember names and they're not good at remember names. Ella Bliss says Melody is absolutely gorgeous. Isn't she a natural beauty? Right? I don't think she gets enough love for that. Isn't she a natural beauty? Absolutely. She's beautiful in every way you can imagine. She's a very, very special individual, a very special soul, very special member of the soul group. Thank you for recognizing that. That's why Ella Bliss that's why Elena is such a freaking special individual, because she's always putting over other women, unlike some of the
I love that. I love it.
Women who are always operating out of separation. She's always putting up other women and elevating other women, and that's why she's such a class act. We love you, Elena. Thank you so much for being here. When we remove the illusion of separation, we're suddenly in vibrational harmony with everyone and everything. That's it.
Yeah. And speaking of it, with women, that's a huge thing, is like, because we're always in this competition, like, and that is not real. Like, we don't have competition. We are everything, and I think really when we start to get through those weird things, like, we're really going to see some growth in the the world. You know, when we stop dividing and start uniting, then it's over. Like game over. We're in heaven then. We've hit the heaven on earth. Every knee will bow, every tongue will confess, because we have hit that consciousness.
That's beautifully stated, Melody. Beautifully stated. The truth is, we've never actually left heaven. We're dreaming the idea of being human. We've never left spirit.
Right.
We are in heaven right now, dreaming that we're not in heaven. We're dreaming that we're having the human experience, dreaming that we're separate. Our higher mind is projecting us into space-time. And I'll tell you what, once you remove the illusion of separation and become one with the environment, all of the relationship goals that you had become materialize. All of the love that we've been chasing outside of ourselves, once we truly feel that genuine self-love for ourselves, understanding that everyone is a reflection of that self, we stop seeking love outside of ourselves. We embody unconditional love, which is our natural vibration, and that just starts appearing around us. Mats Gita says, I'm in heaven. That's right, baby, you are. You're in heaven dreaming that you're not in heaven, but that doesn't remove the fact that you are in heaven right now.
I love that. And I do believe that, it's a matter of our own perception. And the more that people clear through the misqualified programming and just get to the core of who they are, the more our world shifts into that reality. I've lived kind of with that, I guess, where I could be waking up and feel like I'm in the 3D consciousness. Is it because I'm using spiritual terms here? Because you know how it is out there. Everybody's got a term. So it's like I woke up and I was in the 3D and I just like freaked out. No, it's like we get to choose. Like it's all here at any given point through our day. We don't wake up and have to be in the 3D. It's like we get to choose like if we're in the 3D or not, because it's all in our consciousness. But it's really hard to communicate that to people, that it's an every moment choice. We get to choose every single second of the day.
That's right. Absolutely. We get to choose, and we're always choosing, whether we know it and we're doing it consciously or unconsciously. I want to say hello to Beata, Olympia, Alina, my following of the most gorgeous Eastern European and Polish women on the planet. It's unbelievable how I suddenly have this beautiful following of Polish women that just materialized out of nowhere. Gee, I wonder where that came from. Look, we are consciously choosing all the time. Thank you for all these beautiful gifts, by the way. Thank you for giving Melody the love that she deserves. Right. And she's a really special soul. Cam, thank you so much for being here. This is my soul family, the 144. These are the most evolved souls on this planet, whether they know it or not, whether they're still being enslaved by their brainwashing or not, whether they're still a victim of their ancestral trauma or believe they are or not. These are the most evolved souls on the planet, and they're all here to break the system.
Yeah, I think we're all here for that, right?
Yeah.
I think that's like humanity's whole mission. And there's people right now that are going against that because they're trying to fight to keep it erect. And we're like, no, let it crumble. What are you doing? Let it fall. Because they're like, no, we got to do more. Nope. It's time that we just start realizing that the whole thing is no good. Throw it out.
Yeah, we don't have to actually burn it down or break it down. I'm being a little bit dramatic. Thank you so much, Alina, for all of these beautiful gifts. We actually just have to stop participating in it. That's it. And, whether you love Donald Trump or not, when you get 4 years of you're seeing he's actually made no change in your life, then you'll stop participating in the system where you're giving your power away. Not to judge it. A lot of people, that's still their path. But at some point, we need to see another 4 years of this. Whoever's given the illusion of power is not going to change our life. And then we're going to take our power back, and we're going to stop participating in a system that is designed to fail and crumble under its own weight. That design is a narcissistic, sociopathic system, and it was designed by us to fail and eventually drive us within and empower ourselves. It's designed to disappoint us. It's designed to fail us. It's designed to crumble under its own weight. We don't actually have to burn it down. It will fall under its own weight when we all stop participating and feeding our energy into it. And that's it. And if you've done that, welcome, beautiful Bella. There's my Italian wife. I shamelessly come on here and I celebrate all the beautiful women that follow me because the men in the spiritual community are so weak and so feminine and so ashamed of their own masculinity. This is the spiritual community. Right? This
Please
is the spiritual
speak on
community.
that, Peter. Can we talk about where is the masculine energy? It's like missing. Please speak to the people on that one, because I see like misqualified masculine energy, which is like that really old program where me Tarzan, you Jane stuff. And then I see the like, I'm going to hit you with my purse, get out of the way. I'm like, where is just the balanced masculine and how do we get there? Please speak to the people on that.
Yeah, people hear me make fun of like Aaron Doughty and Aaron Apke and Victor Odo, all these hyper feminine men in the spiritual community. I'm gonna out myself and tell you, I actually love all of these people. I actually love them all. I don't see them as separate from me. However, they are poor depictions of masculine energy in the spiritual community. And the spiritual community is actually set up this way on purpose to emasculate men and make them as feminine as possible, which then pushes women, especially spiritual women, into their masculine. This is an inversion and perversion of the masculine and feminine energy, okay? And it's being done deliberately. Aaron Apke, Aaron Doughty, these spiritual, hyper feminine, spiritual, they're hyper feminine on purpose. They're part of, whether they know it or not, they're part of the inversion and perversion of the spiritual community. And there are men like me, men like Cam, men like Mazgita that are here to rebalance this masculine energy and bring the masculine energy back in a way that loves, respects, adores, and elevates the divine feminine, because we see it as an aspect of ourselves.
I love that. And I'm rooting for you. I am so rooting for you. I'm rooting for the masculines, because come on now, guys, because as a woman who somehow gets forced into masculine energy, it's like, I want to breathe. I just want to have a soft place to fall where I can trust that the masculine is actually not distorted. So I could like be soft, but it's so hard. And so I'm hoping that some men maybe hear this and try to figure it out. I don't know. But yeah. I don't know what I was going for. I got caught up in the comments and I got a text message, but I was going to say something and I just squirreled.
This is so important. This is what Teal Swan calls masculine containment. There's no masculine containment in the spiritual community. There's all these hyper feminine men out there who are so overly in their feminine and so pushing this feminine energy out. And it's like there's no masculine containment, which makes the women in the spiritual community have to summon their masculine energy. And women do not want to be in their masculine energy. This is a freaking burden on the divine feminine to be pushed into her masculine energy.
It is.
Aaron Apke has such a wonderful masculine energy. I severely doubt that any healthy woman actually believes Aaron Apke is a divine masculine or the embodiment of divine masculine. He's very, very feminine in his presentation. And again, I tell you this, it is done on purpose. The Aaron Apkes, the Victor Odos, these are feminine men who are constantly in their feminine energy and pushing out feminine energy. And it's done on purpose to get other men to follow their example and be hyper feminine and keep women locked in their masculine energy. And this is done deliberately to invert and pervert the masculine and feminine energies. And we are in a feminine dominant cycle. Okay. And so the feminine energy has to be allowed to flourish. It can only be allowed to flourish and flow the way it's meant to when it has masculine containment enough to feel safe being in its feminine energy. This is so important. And this is why you don't ever hear Aaron Apke, Aaron Doughty, all of these hyper spiritual feminine men out there in the spiritual community ever talk about this. They don't ever talk about the importance of masculine containment. The only one talking about masculine containment is Teal Swan, a woman. Why is she the only one talking about masculine energy and masculine containment and making the divine feminine feel safe? It's because there is a deliberate inversion and perversion, and the majority of the men in the spiritual community, hell, the majority of them, all of them that are not part of this 144 soul group, none of them have the courage to talk about this because they're afraid of being cancel cultured out of existence. I have no such fear. I know exactly what the divine feminine wants because I don't see any separation between myself and the divine feminine.
Well, I think I have yet to really meet many. Honestly, there's something going on here, and this is going to sound really weird, but if I like my man to eat meat, I don't know why that bothers me when I meet a man and they tell me I'm in the wrong for eating meat. I'm like, what's the deal with the vegan mindset? Am I missing something? What's going on with all these people, and why is that? Because it's feminine to me when they're trying to get me to change my carnivorous like ways. I'm like, I don't want to just eat salad all the time. Like, who are you? Stop trying to tell me I have to eat meat or can't eat meat.
Yeah. So
what is your take on that?
This is the big issue with the spiritual community. They have a composite spiritual person, and they all have to act this way or else they're not spiritual. Okay, this is all fraudulent. It's all inversion and perversion. It's all imposing your belief system on others, okay, so that you can seem more spiritual than them, more moral than them. That's what this is about. The spiritual community is so fraudulent. It's so fake. It's so inauthentic. And the reason I am so shameless and fearless about how I could care less how I'm perceived is because I'm being the example of this is what women actually want to see. They want to see men stand in their masculine energy and not give a flying fuck how they're perceived. This is what women are attracted to. Men who are powerful, men who are strong, and men who are not concerned with how they're perceived, and certainly not concerned with pushing their belief systems on others or dominating them. This is a sad, perverted, feminine, masculine, wounded masculine way of trying to dominate the feminine energy by telling her how she should represent herself or how she should be or how she should live her life, rather than just being the masculine container and letting her flow the way she desires to flow.
So I have some comments here. Someone saying that eating meat takes away the animal's free will, and animal meat changes our DNA. And isn't meat dead energy? And what is your take on that?
It is completely up to the person and how they feel. Okay, so when we consume meat, how do we feel? Does it lower our frequency? I can tell you that there are certain meats that I can't eat because it plummets my frequency. However, there are certain genetic entities that individuals have chosen to incarnate into. We choose our genetic entity, what sex, what race, what nationality, all these things. All these biological factors are chosen before we incarnate because we're that limitless as a creator to experience what we desire. There are certain genetic entities that we incarnate into that cannot sustain themselves on a vegetarian or vegan diet. And if Melody is one of those genetic entities, if the physical vessel that she's incarnated into is one of those, then it's not within my right or anyone else's right to tell her what she should put in her body. What feels right for you is the ultimate authority. And this is the core teaching of my Charisma Masterclass, is that you are the authority in your universe, your personal reality. And anytime we outsource our authority, we are freaking voting for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or whatever puppet of the establishment. We are giving away our creative right when we give away our spiritual sovereignty by saying someone else or something else is the authority in my universe, right? And that's what the whole system of here's the illusion of choice is set up for. And that is happening in the spiritual community. The spiritual community is one level up removed from the religious brainwashing. It's a different form of brainwashing. It's a different form of trauma-based mind control. It's a different form of shaming everyone into the same freaking mold. And I'm here to shatter that mold by example and allow everyone to flow, especially the feminine energy, allow them to flow in their natural course.
Thank you. And just to add to that, I feel like humanity wouldn't even exist right now as we know it if our ancestors didn't have meat in their diet, because there's literally some places that you have to live on meat. So to say that you're taking away the animal's free will, everything is created for us. And I feel like the animal is part of that everything eats everything chain, where Mother Earth literally eats our bodies when we depart. So it's kind of like this cycle of everything eats everything, everything feeds everything. And if we didn't have meat eaters, then humanity probably wouldn't even be here right now, because there was some climates that they literally survived on just jerky, friends. So anyway, that's for these comments. No more. We can move on past that. But I liked your response, so thank you for that. I think you have a great point where we have to stop trying to make others like us. You know, as long as somebody isn't doing harm, we really shouldn't have a problem with the way that they're expressing themselves. Do you feel that way?
Ultimately, what we're going to realize is the only harm that we can actually do is to ourselves. Okay. And so we are moving towards, as we embody our astral abilities, as we move into what's called the fourth frequency, as we activate our astral and light bodies, we're not going to be eating anything, whether it's meat or anything. We're not going to need to, because we're going to understand that we are not physical beings. We are energy beings. We are actually consciousness that can take form. This is when all our astral abilities, telekinesis, teleportation, these types of things, telepathy, will come online, and we won't need to eat anything. There won't be any more of this predatory energy of, life feeding on life anymore. We're actually moving out of that within the next 10 to 15 years. We're actually moving out of that to where we realize that we are just consciousness, energy beings, limitless creators that don't need to actually eat anything. We can actually just sustain ourselves as energy beings as we activate our light bodies. But that's a progression that we're making towards. But for right now, everyone is on their own path, and we have no right to shame anyone into our belief system.
Thank you. We don't eat when we're sleeping, fourth dimension. Yeah. Okay. So someone's just making a comment. Yeah. And I think we do overconsume, and it does bog down our frequency, the gluttony of like how we constantly are feeding, because it takes a lot away from like the biofield's power to process all of that. And I think that's almost like an external oppressor, because if we were not, it takes it back to the sins, right, of a gluttony. Overindulging in anything is going to lower your vibration. Overindulging in porn, overindulging in consumption of substances or alcohol or whatever. So really, it just is a vibrational thing when you correlate like the 7 deadly sins being like low vibrational things that keep you from hitting Christ consciousness or opening your crown. Then you're looking at it like just stay away from those things. And gluttony, I think, comes in many forms. And I think many of us overindulge even in social media consumption, the technology consumption. We're just constantly taking this stuff in, and we're not really finding a lot of time to just be. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not being still to hear or to exist in just all that is, because we're so busy trying to accomplish goal or scroll, or it's just a mess. What is your take on that?
Yeah, so those of us from this soul group, especially, eventually all of humanity is going to be moving in this direction. But everyone from this soul group, everyone who's watching this live stream, is moving towards we're moving out of the consumer mentality and into the creator mentality. And so any type of consumption, whether it's overconsumption or just consumption in general, we're moving out of that energy and into a creator energy. We've all been, as far as food goes, we've all been conditioned deliberately to overconsume food because it keeps our vibration low. And you will be able to feel this, whether you overconsume food. Every time we eat food, even if it's more of a high frequency food, if we overconsume that, it'll drop our frequency, because we are energy beings. We don't actually require food. If we perceive ourselves properly as energy beings, we won't actually require food at all. But again, that's a progression. It's not meant to happen overnight. Eventually, when we stop perceiving ourselves as physical beings, the way we perceive reality is the way we create it. The way we perceive ourselves is the way we create ourselves. So as we move out of this belief system of being physical beings, we're going to stop consuming altogether, and everything will be simply us creating from our life force of source energy, which is, again, the vibration, the highest vibration that exists, which is unconditional love. Our true vibration, our true self is unconditional love.
Beautiful. Did you guys have any questions? Deacon asks how you feel about fasting.
How do we feel? Oh, fasting is one of the most powerful ways to accelerate any type of spiritual evolution. I mean, I do intermittent fasting every day. I don't ever eat before 2 o'clock. So fasting, it's right up there with meditation. There's a reason. I'm gonna quote my teacher. There's a reason every authentic mystic and master and sage always talks about the two things are meditation and fasting, because they purify mind, body, and spirit like nothing else. Anybody who has entity attachments, addictions, diseases, certain types of pathologies growing in their system, quote unquote virus or an infection, fasting is one of the fastest ways to clear out the system, is to detoxify the system, is fasting.
Yeah, and isn't it funny how this world is like, oh, if you're sick, here, drink some soup. It's like, you should just let that person be sick. They don't need to eat, right? But we're constantly like programmed to, oh, feed it. Like, oh, the person's under the weather, go get them some soup, get them something. And we're really not even aware of just those little programs that have become habits that are keeping us from shedding into more powerful state of being.
Yeah,
and it's our own programming that's keeping us down.
Yes, ma'am. The physical body is a divine creation. It knows exactly how to heal itself. It knows exactly how to heal itself when we stop stuffing it with information. Elena says, Pete, how much times do you do breath work? So I don't do breath work anymore. I used to do it every day when my nervous system was dysregulated. And if we have a dysregulated nervous system, breath work should be, Wim Hof breath work should be a daily thing. Every day, there should be at least 10 minutes of breath work done in the morning. And depending on how dysregulated. 6 months ago, my nervous system was way dysregulated. I was riddled with addictions and astral entities, parasites. Astral parasites were attached to me. I was in very bad shape. And so I was doing Wim Hof breath work twice a day to answer the question. Thank you, Ronaldo. I appreciate it very much.
So do you, just a personal thing here, because I've been almost celibate for like 3 years. Now, do you feel like that is serving us by abstaining from mingling? Because you're talking about these entities, these spiritual parasites. I feel like if I sleep with men, they give me, it's hideous. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, then my energy feels off. Then it feels like I've got something attached to me that's draining me. And it's just, I don't even want to touch them, because I feel like they are just so vile and pollute my aura. Is that mental for me, or is there something to that in your opinion?
So if that's how you're feeling, then abstinence is the way to go right now at where you're at. Okay, so it's not a blanket thing, celibacy, blah blah blah. We always have to be conscious of who we're mixing our energy with, because that can have a serious ability on. There are men out there who are predatory, have predatory energy, that are looking to siphon your creative energy, especially if you're a woman. They're looking to siphon your life force. This is why narcissistic men like to have, orgies and threesomes and, consume porn and all this stuff. They're actually siphoning and harvesting female energy, feminine energy, for their own purposes. Whether they're conscious of this or not, there are vampires, parasitic vampires, that look to harvest feminine energy this way. So we have to be, if we're in vibrational alignment, ultimately, yes, there's something in us that is in vibrational alignment with that type of energy. So until we've purified ourselves and gotten down to the bottom of our belief system and gotten to the bottom of what's keeping us in resonance with predatory energies, it's the best way to go is to abstain until we've purified ourselves, and then we're no longer in vibrational resonance with those types of predatory energies. And so I had to go through a period where I literally went from sleeping with everyone, not realizing that I was mixing my energies with low frequency people and stifling my own progression, to whereas there was about a period of 3 to 5 years where I was just completely abstinent, and I needed to be for my own spiritual progression. It's the best thing that now I'm very careful with who I mix my energy with. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. Well, thank you for answering that, because I feel mixed signals, because I'm like, as a person, like as a woman, I'm like, man, I'm still kind of in my prime. I would love to be able to do that. But at the same time, I'm also like, no, because they, like you said, they'll attach to me and then I'll feel drained and have to go through this whole cycle of like getting myself put back into power while they're over there glowing up and on to the next chick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
On to the next
I was that
victim.
guy. I had a time in my life where I was that guy. I was unconsciously siphoning feminine energy, just sleeping around with this one and that one, harvesting her energy and using it for my own creative power. I can tell you that men who are of a low consciousness, like I used to be, they're doing that unconsciously. Most of them don't know that they're doing that, but that's what they're doing. They're using the feminine energy to harvest it for themselves, and then they're on to the next chick and on to the next chick and all this stuff. They don't understand how to work with a high frequency or high vibrational female, have a divine partnership where both are literally feeding each other and bolstering each other. This is what we all want to move to as conscious individuals. We want to move to a divine partnership, whether it's polyamorous or monogamous or whatever fits our energetic template. But we're bolstering each other. We're not taking from each other. We're not preying upon each other. And that's where we're moving towards, where everyone's bolstering each other because we realize we're all one. We're not trying to take from each other.
Right. And it's because you're acting from that love space, which is the positive energy on the scale. It's not that lack, it's the love, which is expansive. It is multiplied. That love energy, the positive energy defined by science, is expansive, and negative is constrictive. So when you operate from that heart space where you are being that love, you are that love, then that is rippling out more of that energy. So really is what it boils down to, is everything's energy, like you said, and we're just little conduits of it. And the more of us that realize that we could be the positive conduit instead of the negative conduit, the better. Because then we're creating more of that bliss and less of this, whatever we've got going on here. It's like, I don't know what we even call this at this point, but here we are.
That's a brilliant insight. Everything is energy, and the definition of positive versus negative is positive energy is geometrically integrative and inclusive, whereas negative energy is geometrically separating and it's a separative energy. It takes apart, and so that's what we want to move to. We want to move to an integrative energy where we're feeding each other, whether that's through sexual energy or just our interactions. We don't actually have to have sex with anybody or do tantra or anything like that to feed others energetically our energy. We just have to embody our true vibration of unconditional love. I want to address this comment by Vidrav. Says women get energy from men via attention from men. Yes, women who are disempowered need to siphon energy from men via attention. That's women who don't understand that they're their own source of energy and still have externalized their power and need to get it via attention from men. Those are women who are still not in their power. Okay, let me just put it that way. That's a certain type of woman. That's the majority of women out there. They've been trained by the Kardashians to do that type of thing, to siphon energy from men via attention. And women who are very disempowered are still making spectacles of themselves, trying to get male attention. And on some level, those women know what they're doing is not a true expression of divine feminine power.
That's a good question, whoever asked that. Anybody over here on this side have any questions for Pete? Let me scroll, sorry. Yeah. Well, I don't see very many questions flowing through right now, but I think that I always enjoy talking with you because it's just such a flow of things that I already feel, or I can ask from the feminine to the masculine side of things, because I know where I'm at. I'm just about sick of it. Like men also, because they're in misqualified masculine energies, I find it extremely difficult for a man to want to try and date me romantically, but want me to partner on everything with him. And I'm like a mom with kids, and you're wanting me to like struggle while you're over here set, but then you want to be my partner. Like, I don't have time for you. Like, you're not making my life any easier because I'm having to be masculine and feminine, but then you want me to be like your nasty girl or whatever. And I'm like, dude, can you just make my life easy by being a provider? Like, it really, men are very selfish these days though, because they're like, well, women can do it. And it's like, I don't want to have to do that. I feel like that's a masculine energy thing.
Yeah, well, we've all been conditioned by the culture of consumerism and pornography to take from others, and so men who are not empowered are gonna be looking to get something from a woman or get her to provide something for them, some commodity for them that they're not providing for themselves because they're out of touch with their own feminine energy and don't understand that they can provide all that stuff to themselves. Bella asks, can you talk about unconditional love, Pete? Yeah, it's your natural vibration, unconditional love. That's your true self. No name, no image, no form, no gender, and no limitations. It is the ultimate creative power. It's the highest frequency in existence, and it has no limitations. And that's what we all are. If you get down to everybody's core, if you see past all their brainwashing, all their conditioning, all their traumas, all their misperceptions, misunderstandings, and misidentifications, at the core, everyone is the same vibration, which is unconditional love. And if we want to have wonderful relationships with each other, we have to embody our core vibration, our true self of unconditional love. And then we have to choose to only interact with that core vibration of others and only see them in that way. This is the way Jesus literally healed people in the Bible. And what Jesus was doing was literally just holding a vibrational frequency where he refused to see anybody in a condition of ill health. And he opened the door for them to join him frequentially in that vibration of whole, healthy, healed, and complete, because he refused to see them in a condition of ill health. And if so, we have embodied our true vibration of unconditional love. We refuse to see people in a disempowered situation, or we refuse to see them as broken. We refuse to see them as traumatized. We refuse to see them as lacking or weak or selfish or whatever. We see them for who they really are, and that ultimately brings that vibration forward. And if it doesn't, if that soul decides not to meet us in that vibration, we know that's our cue to part, exit stage left.
Supergirl asks, what do you think of cataclysms?
Cataclysms are things that we create in order to, as catalysts, whether they are on the so-called macro level or the external world cataclysms, like natural disasters, or personal cataclysms within our personal life. They're both created for the same reason, which is to catalyze us into some type of change, some type of transformation.
Yeah, thank you. Wow.
When we embody, everyone from this soul group is going to encounter some type of massive cataclysm or life challenge, okay? What's really important over the next 30, 69 days is everyone understands that they're the creators of these things, not the victims of them, because we're not going to be able to overcome these cataclysms in our personal life if we perceive them as it's happening to us and we're the victims of them, rather than we've created them from the level of our higher self and oversoul in order to catalyze us into transformation, into taking back our power. That's what all crises in our personal life are meant to do, whether they're personal crises, health crises, financial or monetary crises, relationship crises, familial crises, whatever the crisis is, legal crises, whatever they are, they're meant to catalyze us into taking back our power as a creator being and not externalizing our power anymore. And so when we see these things for what they were meant for, what they were created for, number one, they will fall off our timeline. And number two, we will have they require a solution, the solution will come to us immediately because we'll be in vibrational harmony to receive the solution. And the solution is always to go within and empower ourselves rather than trying to get from the external world, which is really just a reflection of our internal world. We go within, we activate a frequency, and we hold that frequency. And then eventually, once we've held that frequency long enough in the third dimension, it gets projected out and reflected back to us. So if we want to see a more peaceful earth, we have to activate that vibration or frequency within us, and we have to hold it regardless of what we see in the external reality, and eventually it will get reflected back to us. Regardless of what the collective consciousness is creating in aggregate, we will get a reflection back in our own personal reality or universe of a peaceful existence, no matter what's going on outside of us, because we all are protected by an energetic wall where we can perceive all kinds of wars and tragedy and cataclysm happening outside of ourselves, but we don't participate in it energetically. It doesn't affect our life. We can perceive it, but because we're not the vibration of it, we cannot receive it. So we can perceive it through an energetic wall, but we cannot receive it in our personal lives. And that's what's incredibly important to understand over the next 30, 60, 90 days and going into 2025. No matter what you're perceiving through the energetic wall, it cannot touch you if you are not vibrationally matching it.
Yes. Applause to that. And I've spoke on that to the people who are going to be watching this on Facebook. You guys know it's like, don't anchor yourself to it. Stay off the polarity, you know, and I feel like that is the walking on water, you know, as being like a Christ. You're not getting emotionally drowned into the energy of what is you're observing, but you're staying off of the polarity and just walking on top of all of the emotional stuff. And it takes true practice to be able to do that, because there's all these things swirling around trying to grab you in. Oh, war, come this way. Oh, this way. It's like, no, just ignore it. Focus on yourself. Become the person you can become that is in the one, right? Take your fractured piece of consciousness and plug it back into the big brain, and all things are going to be so cool. If we could just do that, if we could take all our little pieces and just plug them back in, I think that would be just so beautiful. Question, is Pete familiar with Jason Brashard's work? He speaks of this too. I don't know who that is. Jason Brashard?
No, I've never heard of that person. Anybody who's speaking in terms of you being an energy being and you being able to activate a frequency and hold it until it gets reflected outside of you as a limitless creator, because you contain all frequencies. When Jesus said, there are many rooms in my Father's house, or many mansions in my Father's house, though what he was talking about is all the infinite parallel realities and conditions and frequencies and vibrations that exist within our consciousness. This is a freaking dream. And when we realize it's a dream made of our consciousness, we can wake up and we can take command of it by going within and activating a frequency, regardless of what the world is showing us. So Florio asks, can you please explain the steps to activate a frequency? It's simply, Neville Goddard, I'll use a fourth dimensional teaching. Neville Goddard, the great Neville Goddard, the great Christian mystic, said, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled. That's activating a frequency. Assuming the feeling of whatever it is that you want to see reflected outside, regardless of what the world is showing you. Okay, you go in and you activate all frequencies, all dimensions, all parallel conditions exist within you right now, right here, right now. You go within, you activate that frequency, assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and rest in that feeling, in the words of Neville Goddard. Eventually, if you do not allow the illusion to mess with you and pull you out of that frequency, it will be reflected back. This is our limitless power as creators who create with vibration, who understand ourselves as energy beings who create with vibration. That's what we really are. Here's a spoiler for you guys. We're not freaking physical beings. That's an illusion. We are energy beings, and we are infinite beings that create from an infinite source. We create with the limitless power of source energy, which is the vibration of unconditional love. The vibration of unconditional love is the container of all frequencies in existence. Love, joy, excitement, passion, all of these frequencies exist within us. All we need to do is go in and offer that vibration or offer that frequency. Abraham Hicks teaches this beautifully. We offer that frequency, we offer that vibration, we emanate it to the universe, and the universe, which is the higher expression of you, is a mirror that will ultimately reflect that back to us if we're committed to holding that frequency, regardless of what the illusion shows us.
That's great. And that is, yes, Deacon says, that's what manifesting is. Yeah. So I am just looking through the comments here. Bunch of people talking to each other. I don't see any directed questions, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time and chatting with me. I love it. I always feel like I'm connecting something when I'm talking with you or something, because on my own, I come up with a lot of stuff. And like I said, sometimes I get to feeling like I'm a bit delusional. But then when I talk to you, it's almost like, okay, you're connecting it for me, because I'll have that piece. It's like, I feel like it's a vibrational thing, but I don't quite understand how it works. And you'll piece it together. So I definitely always appreciate when I can tune into you and chat with you. So if you want to do it again sometime, I'm totally down.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. Peace Queen says, when's your book out, Pete? My sister Samantha, who's the last Empress on YouTube and this platform, will be doing that book. And I just want to say thank you to Melody. Guys, give it up for Melody. She always pulls the best content out of me. And she's such a great hostess. And she's a great embodiment of divine feminine energy. And we love her. And thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And thank you all for being here. We love you.
Why, thank you, Pete. I look forward to doing it again. Yeah. I'm coming to Cali. I'm coming to Cali. I'm hunting you down when I get there too. We're gonna hang out and have real life, share biofields. Not
Awesome.
in a weird way, but
Awesome.
you know.
Well, you're always welcome, Melody. Thank you guys so much. I love you all, and I will see you on the YouTube channel on Saturday.
All right, guys.
Love and gratitude, y'all.
All right, everybody. I'll see you later. I was on here for quite a while prior to Pete getting on, and so I've just about hit my fill. I've been on live for over 90 minutes, and I've got to get off because I have a other things scheduled in my afternoon. But I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for the gifts and the love and support, and for sharing the live, liking the live. I'll be back. You guys know that I don't do TikTok live as often as I do Facebook live. So if you guys want to find me, thank you, Christopher, on the Book of Faces, and follow me there. Those of you guys who are on the TikTok, thank you, Christopher, for the gifts, honey. Then you're welcome over there. But I'm going to try and do more TikTok lives. It's just, I'll do it. I'm not going to try. I will do it. I'll be back. Okay. All right. Love you guys.